Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CGL Grand Finals here in the Xbox NA Tier 4 scene. I am NSB United, and I'm joined tonight by Unicorn here to bring you an amazing match between two unstoppable teams in Apollo Tier 4 and Eclipse.
Man, and SBM, excited for this one. Hope you're doing well. Hope the rest of chat is as well. It is going to be a heck of a T4 final here, and we've made it, right? T2 over and done with. You found your winner. T1 over and done with. Now we're moving into the big leagues. You're starting here with T4, Apollo and Eclipse. It's going to be a heck of a series. Apollo missing some players. However, when you're 27 and 3 as far as map differential is concerned, you've got to be pretty confident either way going into this.
Yeah, Apollo undefeated on the season, undefeated in playoffs because you need to be to get this far into the Grand Finals. So they haven't really lost a game. They have not really been in the position to lose a game ever, except for maybe during their semifinals, which they did come back beautifully in. But on the other hand, Eclipse, also a team that is not really accustomed to losses. They've only dropped a couple series here and there. But in playoffs, they've sort of found their footing once in a hot streak and haven't dropped a map so far during the entirety of this bracket.
They certainly have not, and they're a relatively new team as far as Eclipse is concerned. From what I've been reading, from what I've heard about them, just picked up players here and there from a variety of different teams as they moved into this season 8 of the MTT. And then from then on out, they just ran meta-based comps that really played to everyone's strength. They have a bunch of low resource backlines, and they're all very confident and proficient in their abilities. That allows them to pocket Spider on that Echo and really pop off and destroy everything. And really, when you have such sufficient players or self-sufficient players who are able to live without those supports, whether it be a tracer, whether it be an echo, maybe a pop-off hog who can, really thrive on his own, then you get to run these meta-based comps that really allow for these one-on-one situations to pop out throughout the maps and the mechanical skill of these players to really shine. Walk me through Apollo though. What do they have to answer what Eclipse is throwing at them?
I mean, Apollo is basically the opposite of Eclipse if you look at them. Eclipse is a team with just a bunch of star studded players, a bunch of talent individually, like you pointed out. But Apollo, on the other hand, is a team that is all built around their cohesion, all built
Okay.
around these crazy plays that they put together as an entire unit. And this squad is a combination of the C4 Tier 4 org and Apollo Tier 4 team. Those two teams sort of got mixed together and came into this super roster at the start of the season. And so far, they've been dominating as their record and their map difference points out. I'd say especially we should look out for C4 Godspeed and Branch, but I mean, the entirety of this roster is just built to work together.
It definitely seems like it. Now, I don't know about UNSB. I have on my notes that everybody but C4 Godspeed is the MVP. So I don't know if they're allowed to come in here and edit this Google Doc themselves or if that's just something of your doing. However, look out for everyone on the roster except for C4 Godspeed. Look away whenever the wonderful producer Joker Ransom goes to pan on his point of view. Walk me through the maps, though. What are we looking at here?
I mean, first off, I believe we're going to be taking a journey down to Busan. As you guys can see up on your screen, that's going to be our first map of the series, and it was selected by Apollo, them being the #1 seed in this playoffs. So they do get a bit of an advantage in that suit. But I mean, if we think about Busan, really the mecha base is the only map that seriously caters to these brawl-centric, team-centric compositions.
It certainly does. When you jump into Sanctuary, you can think of how it really does cater to that style. However, it's very easy to run a double bubble on that as well. There's a lot of space that you can make, and the natural structures that you can kind of get around when it comes to maneuvering the side of Sanctuary. Downtown Mecha Base really tend to shake things up. But more importantly, looking at the map of Busan, so important as you jump into these higher SR games when you have the capability of being the higher seed and you can pick the first map, that's how you snowball a whole series. You got to assume just looking at that little tidbit right there, that already spells good news for Apollo, right? If you come in and immediately pick what map you want to play on, it potentially could snowball the whole series jumping into this.
Yeah, we're going to be just jumping straight in, like you said, Unicorn. I think you made some great points that all of these minor playoffs format things, like the loser picks format in maps and the winner picks attacker defense, those are definitely more important the higher you get in tiers. If one team can just start off rolling, come out of the gates strong with their map pick, then I mean, everything could continue to go well for them in the series, but it looks like we're going to start off on the mecha base. Two very different compositions, but I mean, that's kind of expected here from these two teams.
It definitely is. Now, these compositions, I immediately want to look at Apollo T4 here. Look at the Rhine Orisa. This is a new composition that really allows for these halt fire strikes to be honed in on. You're going to look for Branch, going for those fire strikes every time I Snipe You Later gets a halt ready to go. That's going to allow for BAP to have a lot of safe shields to be behind. C4 Godspeed on this May going to be able to be speed boosted and walk around with Branch when they can be a little bit more aggressive.
The early positioning goes the way of Eclipse, but Apollo is just going to safely make their way around. It's going to be the rotation game for Eclipse. They can't really take a close brawl battle with the Reinhardt, Baptiste, Lucio core here, and it looks like Scatter Genji is going to slam down onto the low ground, attempt to find an Orisa there who had dropped down. The first kill does go their way, the way of Clout Streaks, as he lands that headshot. Looking for more headshots here, and those members of Eclipse are not looking too good on the high ground. They do just send one by one those players down to the point, but the boop comes through. Jetset getting his team back in this one, and the point does get unlocked here and does go the way of Apollo, but Eclipse are continuing to sort of break them down bit by bit.
Look at the anchor that I Snipe You Later is forming on this Orisa here, just allowing everyone to hide behind him as the fight continues to break out here. Zen on this Echo doing their best to try and make it work, has the damage boost, but you just can't beat through all of these shields. You see Scatter Genji trying to get the disruption on the Wrecking Ball, but with the beat drop from the side of the Lucio here for Apollo, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to push past this.
That said, Ewok continues to be the Lucio getting kills, though. He gets rid of Clout Streaks, who had the Deadeye ready to go. But C4 Godspeed, another DPS with their ultimate ready as they drop in the Blizzard. That duplicated Shatter does find one. Zen picks off Branch here. He's going to continue to beam down these DPS, gets rid of Godspeed and the Immortality field here. So Laughing Tag is going to be vulnerable up on the high ground, looking for these headshots. And Clout Streaks comes back, gets the
That's
2K
huge.
Deadeye. So Apollo maintains control here. They're nearly at 50%.
You gotta assume that's gonna be enough to open it back up, but just then Scatter Genji gets the minefield straight onto the point there. Branch is doing his best just to shield turn and try and stay alive. Zen gonna find that, and Count Founded Saturn's out of the game as well there as he meets the focusing beam of Zen. This looks like it's gonna turn to Eclipse now, and you know what would sound better with this game, NSB? Probably game sound. That's just a quick shout out to our boy Joker here. Stream also doesn't have game sound. If we can fix that as quickly as possible. Neither the casters or stream have game sound, but we're jumping already right back into it. Look how aggressive Apollo is.
Yeah, Branch just dropping in the Earth Shatter. Eclipse is going to try and re-engage, but they're running into a supercharger here for my Snipe You Later. And speaking of that Orisa, he finds two here, looking for the Echo, but Zen dipping and dodging, duplicates the Tracer now to try and stall this the other way of Eclipse, continuing to put down this damage, but Laughing Tag gets into the mix. The support duo here for Apollo coming up to their ultimates, and they regain control.
And look at the ult economy for the side of Apollo here. You talk about ultimates, you've got a beat drop in the oven. Everything else is online almost when it comes to these DPS and support ultimates. You've got an amplification matrix to work with that halt fire strike combo you love so much, as well as the pulse bomb and the high noon just to stop anyone from thinking about coming. They're going to go to the catwalk for now and try and stage there. As soon as the disruption comes out from Scatter Genji, you've got to assume it all opens up here.
But the sound barrier lands onto 6 there for Founded Saturn. Cloud Streaks is only going to get one with the Deadeye, but I mean, that's still enough to open up this fight for Apollo. All they need to do is stall from now on. They get the headshot there onto Niche, who tried to land a pulse bomb, but it really just hit a shield. Now he's attempting to get some shots down through this amplification matrix, but it expires here. Digital Arcadia is going to find the eat onto C4 Godspeed's pulse bomb, and the Resurrect comes through. So the tides could be turning for Eclipse. They just need to stay on this objective as a unit. But the unit here is Apollo, and they're continuing to have the shielding, they're continuing to have the sustain to get through this overtime battle. Zen beams down one, he's close to that duplicate, but overtime still in control of the other side here. That blue overtime meter is just seconds away from taking down as another minefield comes out in this fight. You can see Bev just trying to dash around this point with the Mercy here, continuing to stay alive, but the kills continue to come through for Apollo. And I think with these last few, they might just be able to swing it in their favor. It's one traded back with the boop on to Snipe You Later, but the Shatter comes through. That's going to seal it here for our first round, but it was definitely close.
It absolutely was, and I mean, just briefly there, Zen met the unfortunate demise of that Halt Fire Strike combo, and I think that's what really turned the tide throughout the whole map there for Apollo. Moving into Mecha Base there, as you saw the Orisa really once again that anchor on that far left corner of the point that allowed for Branch to branch out to the rest of the point and find those swings, and then whenever he needed to make it back to his Baptiste or turn around to peel, that Orisa of the anchor of your team was right there waiting. Those Halt Fire Strike combos so decimating when the communication is so alive and well for the side of Apollo. You've got to assume they stick with something similar, but instead we're seeing Sig Ball from the side of Apollo this time. Walk me through Eclipse.
Eclipse running out in the same stuff. You've got Niche on the Hanzo here for some more long-range damage, some poke potential to maybe try and burn down those shields. Probably was still expecting the Orisa to come out or the Reinhardt, and that's why they picked the Hanzo here. But that's really the only swap that they put into the mix. On the other hand, Apollo running for a very new composition here. They're sort of taking one out of Eclipse's book. A lot of similar heroes here. But you've got this damage boosted Ashe. You've also got this Zenyatta to pour in damage, and it looks like the first pick is going to go the way of Cloud Streaks there onto Niche, who I believe had gotten C4 Godspeed early in the fight. But I mean, that Tracer is already back into the mix. Digital Arcadia is going to try and stall things out on the backside of this objective, playing very patient, and that's smart from Eclipse because they're still waiting for their Hanzo to get back newly on the Tracer swap here. They continue to just play patient, and they continue to get these picks one by one. The Resurrect comes through, but right as Founded Saturn leaves the objective, Snipe You Later falls. First percentage going the way of Eclipse.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it there as they jump forward. I love Digital Arcadia, the ability to jump on top of that drum. Look for the support there from Bev as she moves forward on that Mercy, and then you see her right now back on Zen on the Echo, who even through Mecha Base was having some difficulty with contesting the point. Most of that was due to the frontline contention that Apollo brought. Zen throughout the entirety of Mecha Base was absolutely popping off, and I don't think we see too many different things from that player here on Sanctuaries. He's been devastating on this Echo so far. Oh my goodness.
Very early minefield coming through and very early value in this fight. Scatter Genji picks up 3, maybe looking for one of these retreat kills, but Apollo is pretty close to their spawn. C4 Godspeed recalls back into the mix, but still maybe manages to get out here. He has this pulse bomb ready to go, and there's also a Transcendence. So what do you think they can do with that?
I mean, with the Transcendence here, you've gotta look to move in, and as soon as another minefield comes out, potentially the Diva Bomb, just to get away from it, you've got to assume the Transcendence gets forced out somehow just for survivability, at least in this tier. Probably not a ton of opportunity to use that as a huge defensive ult, just another survivability tool for this Zenyatta player of Laughing Tag.
C4 Godspeed looking for an early stick, lands it onto the Diva, and that health pool is chunked down relatively low. Snipe You Later is going to finish that off, but the Sound Barrier and the Valkyrie comes in response. You see a Pulse Bomb now dropped in from the other side as Branch commits the minefield, so trades either way there. Niche V2 still in the back line on this backside, gets a third here in this fight, 2 to add on to his early Pulse Bomb as these Tracers continue to land blow after blow on each other. Zen had dropped in the duplicate there just to maintain control of the point, and they're coming up on last fight territory. C4 Godspeed is really the only one close to the objective, and he's already getting pressured out.
Getting pressured out indeed. He's in trouble now, and the side of Founded Saturn here can't stall forever. You see Branch back, but it's not enough to touch as the rest of the team was trying to get there. Poor C4 Godspeed on the other side of the map at the enemy spawn. They're trying to get away from Zen on this Echo. That's 1-1 here. Eclipse and Apollo tied up on Busan. Apollo picked the map. I'm sure they were hoping for and expecting a 2-0, but we find ourselves moving into downtown all tied up.
And I think the momentum will continue to go in Eclipse's favor if we think about the compositions that are good on downtown. I mean, Apollo is back on this Orisa Rhine, but the question is, can you get us much value out of that composition as you did on Mechabase?
It's definitely questionable. I think if you keep the Orisa on the back end of the point, so whatever side of the point is closer to your spawn, use those stairs as a natural structure to kind of get in and get out of the fight as you see fit. Then Branch can walk forward with necessary, or once again, peel backwards. However, the constant disruption that Scatter Gengi is going to be able to bring on this ball is going to continue to disrupt any Orisa comp you bring to the table.
And it looks like the early setup is by Apollo here on the objective. Scatter Genji just looking at those third-person angles, trying to peek down and maybe look for an opening. So much early damage comes through, and the shields are nearly gone here. But Jet Set actually finds himself the first casualty in this fight. He goes down to C4 Godspeed. Now the roll-through comes in. You've got the pile drive. So much disruption, like you said, Unicorn. That's going to help Zen get rid of 2 here on the back end of this engagement. I mean, a couple percentage is all that's going to be to Apollo's name here before they finally get burned down. What a focusing beam with the damage boost. So much damage coming in from Niche there as well. He gets a third in this fight, and Apollo are sent packing after only 16%.
They are. They get their 16%, but I'll tell you, NSB, it was a miserable 16%. The definition of fish in a barrel there as they cowered in the center of point as the rest of Eclipse just rained down on them from the high ground. And as you mentioned, the disruption coming in from Scattergengi all along the way. Miserable to be a part of that for 16%, but they'll take whatever they can scrape away here on downtown.
Think this Diva swap for Branch is definitely pretty smart here, but the engage comes through early from Eclipse yet again. They're taking the momentum and they're keeping it in their favor. However, Cloudstreaks finds another early kill here. Zen is actually going to get the duplicate off onto the Lucio, so he may be able to build up a sound barrier to contest against Founded Saturn's one, since Jet Set Ewok is not quite there yet. He's going to be inching closer and closer to that duplicated sound barrier and drops it in. It actually lands onto 5 here. But right as that duplicate animation expires, that extra health is going to be gone. You see ultimates dropped onto the point in hopes of stalling this out. Branch actually dips off the side, I believe booped back by the self-destruct, and Zen continues his reign of terror in the skies with Bev on the Mercy, who gets that resurrect to close out the fight.
This Zen Bev combo with the Echo Mercy is absolutely devastating to watch. Joker, I'd like to get some continued first person views of them. They are absolutely tearing up these fights, and it's always in the mid fight. Zen is positioning himself so well with Bev as his Mercy that you see him in the back line right now, and right as the fight breaks out, he takes his time and continues to be in the back, and then right when he gets to mid fight, after resources have been expended, he's right in there as you see now.
Another 2 kills with the minefield here for Scatter Genji, and this objective ticks closer and closer to the first map victory here for Eclipse.
Definitely. I mean, that's a quick fight, and at 95%, it's going to be difficult for anyone to touch. You immediately see Laughing Tag bursted down by the DPS, and it's going to be the only person that can touch, I believe, is excuse me, not Laughing Tag, but Founded Saturns. I'm not sure if anyone can make it unless they just don't kill this Lucio for 8 years.
Yeah, that Lucio does go down. Still Zen doing crazy work here on the Echo. He duplicates the McCree and lands the flashbang, fan the hammer. But that's going to be it. Eclipse continuing the momentum after their nice win on the Sanctuary. And they sort of rolled through Apollo there on downtown. I imagine if that continues into the maps that favor them in this series, then they could be able to eke out a pretty good win.
I think they found a very quick and dynamic response to the compositions that Apollo was running early. They recognized the Rhino Rissa, they addressed how to deal with it, and then you immediately saw in Sanctuary they dealt with it by running a very dynamic and fluid comp with how they work and ebb and flow around the map. Even though Branch and friends didn't run the Rhino Rissa combo, they still became that kind of meta dive comp that you see so often. And Scatter Gengi on the Wrecking Ball, not in a great spot anymore compared to the double bubble that you see being so prominent, but he's still making it work at such a high tier. It's super impressive to watch so far.
Yeah, Scatter Genji definitely one of the better Wrecking Ball players here in Tier 4. And I mean, all of their players are good at what they do. You see the Echo, and you've got Zen just rolling through with that damage boost. You've got Niche on the Tracer, sort of doing anything he wants in the backlines. But we're going to take a quick break here before we head into our second map just to sort some things out on the back end. But we should be back pretty soon. It's going to be just another really close map once we get back in, so don't go anywhere.
See you in just a few minutes.
And we're back, everyone, here in the Xbox NA Tier 4 Finals for CGL. Apollo falls 1 map down in the series to Eclipse there. Eclipse just sort of running the superior comp in my mind. And as we move forward into King's Row, Apollo did pick the map. I think it definitely favors the brawl compositions more. Unicorn, what would you say?
I think it definitely does as well. I think we may see some more Rhinorissa, or we may see the standard Zarya monkey that we're so prone to seeing, at least for point A of King's Row. I think it's a really good way to open up that hybrid position, really get to that backline in a quick fashion where a brawl comp might be a little bit slower in doing it unless you are that full rushdown style. However, for Streets phase, I do think we see more brawl. I think you're right.
Yeah, Streets phase definitely one of those points that you can roll through really quickly if you keep your momentum on the attack. I've seen teams just sort of take the fight all the way to point C, just chuck it deep in there, and just sort of roll through. As you guys can see, Kings Row next map, and I believe Eclipse will be coming out on the defense. Not exactly sure on that one, but they do have the pick for defense or attack, and
You gotta say
Unicorn
they do.
typically that
Yeah.
goes to defense. Um,
It definitely does. You got to assume
yeah,
they pick it here. I mean, it's definitely the most advantageous thing to do if you're trying to win the T4 finals. Which I mean, maybe that's a cool thing to brag about coming into later months. So I mean, I think I'd be picking defense here. We'll have to see what Eclipse goes with. Maybe they're feeling a little bit empathetic because of the missing players that Apollo are dealing with here in the finals. Unfortunate. However, it gets played all the same. Both people got to try their best as we move into here. You ready to jump into King's Row?
yeah, for sure. This one is just getting started. I'm excited to see if Eclipse actually runs out with the Wrecking Ball and the Diva here. I think that the Lucio definitely offers a bit of utility with being able to speed around the corners and move your less mobile heroes, which really this entire composition does have mobility. So it will be interesting to see. Again, we're just going to be jumping straight in, but anything you'd expect from Apollo, maybe switching up like their DPS line here, because I think the supports and tanks they've got figured out.
Well, one thing I think C4 Godspeed has figured out, I don't know if the rest of us are on the same train. I personally am. I think May is in a really good spot right now. She's got a buff coming on experimental as well. Who knows if that makes it through, but even without it, May is in a very, very good spot to deal, especially on King's Row, with these very, very narrow chokes on isolating a target like Zen on this Reinhardt, which speaking of Zen on Reinhardt, I don't get to see any more Echo gameplay. I'm personally upset. I feel personally offended in SV. I don't know if you do as well, but I wanted to see some more Echo from the kid.
I mean, I knew that Zen could play the tank. I just didn't know he could do the main tank here. I thought that Roadhog was his specialty in that flex role, but it seems like the specialty is working out so far as Eclipse are just gonna pound through this first objective, taking the momentum still into their favor. Scatter Genji so charged up on this. Zarya is gonna get to there at the backside of that engagement. Barely 30 seconds off the clock, Unicorn. That is a fast capture.
That's how you open it up there, and that is the beauty of having a Mei on your side, being able to isolate those two tanks, and then Jet Set just walks his team into the opposing front line. Zen gets to swing for free, as you mentioned. Scatter Genki gets all the charge in the world, still at 70% here. The fight's been over for 20 seconds. They're absolutely killing it here as they move in with 5 minutes and 40 seconds into Streets phase.
This time the Mei that gets picked off early is NR Spider here as Cloud Streaks rolls in with two. They're going to get the Fire Strike kill on Wizards just to end off that engagement. Quickly send the rest of Eclipse back to spawn, and they're maybe even trying to get these exit kills. They're pushed quite far up. They do lose both DPS here, so the re-engage is on in a matter of seconds here. You've got the pin coming all the way from downtown here, and Zen is not in a great spot there. So trade's still going back and forth, but the respawn advantage is definitely there. And Scatter Genji is still 80 charge, man.
You've got to think that Apollo thought of that though. Not only was the spawn advantage for the side of Eclipse there, but just the blatant overextension, and then you utilize the Mei wall from C4 Godspeed just to isolate that Hanzo. That just opens the door for the rest of Eclipse to walk forward there. In our Spider throws his own Mei wall, and that allows them to walk forward there and absolutely decimate on that point where Apollo was just overextended, and now they're almost point 3, and a huge grab comes in.
Yeah, very early grab here. The Dragon comes in suit, and that picks up 3 here for Niche. Wizards is going to get a 4th, not having to commit that ultimate ability in the Amplification Matrix. I believe it was 5 there at the end as Niche picks up a headshot onto Laughing Tag. Huge plays from the Hanzo there. They're saving their Blizzard, Shatter, and Amplification Matrix. They continue to roll through King's Row.
Best supporting actor goes to Scatter Gengi for the play, though. I mean, you can't count him out there. Niche absolutely popping off after the grab, but just being able to open it up on Scatter Gengi. Speaking of, here comes the amplification matrix for both sides. They're going to walk forward, but it's a huge blizzard from the side of NR Spider. That's going to allow Eclipse to just clean up the rest of the fight. Niche is in the kill feed once again, followed by the rest of Eclipse as they're moving into point 3 with dominance here. 5:15 on the clock. This payload has maybe 25 meters to go.
It's definitely getting to its spot very quickly here. We're staring down at the potential last fight on this offense, and I feel like we've been here for just a couple team fights. You've got the Blizzard coming out early from Apollo. They seem to be wanting to take these fights fast, and I mean, it's not really working out for them so far as they lose their Reinhardt early again. However, the Sound Barrier comes through as well. They won't have that one for the ensuing Grav Dragon combo, which Scatter Genji and Niche are both getting close to their ultimates for. You see Cloudstreak still trying to fire off these warning shots, but they have no Reinhardt in the mix. Grav Dragons comes through, it maybe misses a tiny bit, but the damage is still done there by the backside of the Dragon. Zen continues to push forward here on the Rhine, just trying to swing away his opposing Reinhardt of Snipe You Later. Laughing Tag is not going to get to the objective in 4:21. What a time bank. What an attack from Eclipse.
What an attack indeed. And I'll tell you what, if I'm on King's Row right there in SB and I throw a Shatter and a Blizzard, I don't expect that fight to turn against me in the next 10 seconds. But Eclipse escort themselves out of there via Jet Set with the speed boost out of the Blizzard and then move right back in to keep that oppressive positioning that they held so well against Apollo. They capped King's Row with 4 minutes and really 4.5 minutes on the time bank here as they set up to defend. Super impressive so far.
Yeah, and I mean, a couple things that I didn't even have time to note because Eclipse just sort of took every fight so fast and rolled through that quickly. A few things that I didn't know yet again is that they did actually opt for the attack instead of the defense, which is something that I find very interesting here. That's a move of complete confidence from Eclipse that they decided to go on offense first. They're going to be coming out on defense next, and they're doing something interesting with Zen here. I think they're going to wall him up a second time to get all the way on top of the statue.
It would be the meme play of the century. And I guess what else can you do when it's followed up by the attack first on King's Row? But here he is,
Oh, he got
Zen
it.
at the top of the statue, the King of Liberty himself here on King's Row. He's on top of the statue, ready to shield anyone and no one, because no one's gonna be up there to help him. Oh, he jumps down.
I mean, what an alpha move, though. If I'm Apollo, I'm looking out the gates just for a few seconds before they open, and I see a Reinhardt at the top of the statue. First off, I'm wondering how he got there, and second off, I'm wondering why Eclipse did that in the grand finals. Just complete confidence from them as they walk forward here. They played this fight pretty patient, and again, they let Scatter Genji maintain his 100 charge that he just builds up with that bubble. Zen's shield is gone, but I mean, the retreating side is Apollo here.
They definitely are. And after the alpha play of Zen there, you've got to assume there's just bonus karma points for Eclipse to walk away with that defensive fight, and they certainly do. They walk away with some additional ult charge as well, but immediately Apollo wants to move in, and the Mei wall is thrown. However, they don't care, and they continue to walk forward.
Both bubbles used early here from Scatter Genji, trying to get the rest of that Graviton Surge built up, and the freeze comes through from NR Spider. Both Reinhardts were low, but Snipe You Later is going to be the one to fall here. As Scatter Genji, I can't say enough, this man is great at maintaining charge, great at tracking down these targets on the Zarya, and this is two tanks that he is absolutely popping off on now.
And you got to think back to Busan as well. I mean, this is all we saw from his Wrecking Ball as well. Fantastic tracking, booping people into the minefields he was throwing. Right now, he is the unsung hero of this team with these huge grabs followed up by Hanzo ults. He's carrying right now.
And speaking of the grab and the Hanzo ult, both of those are good to put in the mix here for the defense. Not many ultimates built up yet from the attack. It's another huge grab. The dragon comes through and it's a 6K.
Six.
Niche. Oh my goodness.
I can't believe it. He finds 6 after the fattest grab I've seen. And I'll tell you what,
Wow.
Apollo dedicated a couple of things to that. They threw in, as much as they could, tried to speed forward, but the ultimates were there for the side of Eclipse. And this might spell a full hold at this point. I'm worried about it for the side of Apollo.
I am astonished right now by the confidence coming out from Eclipse. I can't say it enough. Zen tries to drop in the Earth Shatter early in this fight. The response, Blizzard comes through from their side as well after that Shatter sort of misses the mark. But Clout now getting the bigger Blizzard in this fight from the attack. He finds 3, and Godspeed is going to get 2 nice headshots there at the end. So Apollo continues to move forward onto this objective. They finally capture it, but if we look at time banks, it's really nothing compared to Eclipse's at the end of point
Nothing.
A.
Yeah, nothing compared to Eclipse, but I'm happy to be proven wrong by Apollo there. I was worried about the full hold, and instead they immediately come back and show me that these DPS are, in fact, not only capable, but proficient in popping off, even when the stakes are high in the T4 finals here. They'll move into Streets phase with about 330 on the time bank, but already Eclipse is in their face.
Yeah, Eclipse just, again, trying to control this tempo. It looks like they've done it for this fight as Scatter Genji just continues to walk forward. It's a nice wall to just get rid of that high charge Zarya there, so Branch will not walk away with 80 plus charge that he most definitely had there. That Zarya was glowing very bright at the end of that fight, but look at what we're coming up on, Unicorn.
I see it, and it has not let us down so far in SB. If you can't see it, chat, it's the Grav Dragons ready to go. 99 here for Scatter Gengi as they move in. They've got the recon arrow. They know exactly where to fire it, and as these tanks move to point, you only got to assume it's coming right now.
Yeah, he just walks forward, just complete attack mode here, and it looks like 4 actually come out of this one. I mean, that is crazy. I don't know what to say anymore, but these combos from the Danny DeVito veterans here on Eclipse are just wild. Nietzsche makes it 5 there at the end of that fight.
The combos are there, and I mean, if you're Apollo, I don't think it's a lack of understanding of what the ult economy looks like for the side of Eclipse. I think it's just understanding that some of those you got to take the L on, and you just take the wipe, make it a dry fight, and then come back in again quickly. And it looks like it's what they're trying to do here is they stage high ground early, but the squishies get walled off.
Snipe You Later has just had no time to react. Every single time that Eclipse walked onto him, he's just getting walked all over. The Shatter actually comes through into the spawn doors and finds absolutely nothing, but it's another confidence move here from Zen.
It definitely is, and the spawn door hold is looking a lot better for the side of Eclipse than it did for Apollo. You know they tried to do the same thing, but instead Eclipse playing a little bit more conservative here, backing up, making sure they hold the right choke, and Apollo at this point just struggling to keep the Rhine Shield alive as they walk out of spawn.
Oh, they lose Founded Saturn early. That means there's no sound barrier ready to go here, but they get rid of the star in Niche V2. Still, though, the Blizzard comes out. You've got the pin onto the popsicle of Snipe You Later. Zen begins to get his squats in. He's just practicing for next match at this point.
He definitely is. The tactical crouches are alive and well. Leg day is never over here for Zen. It's every day as long as he's playing Reinhardt. He's going to back up and choke, but immediately get grabbed. The Maywall's there to save it, but the Dragons come through from the side of Apollo and C4 Godspeed. They don't find anyone, but it's enough for Branch to walk in and clean up on that Zarya.
Yeah, it's great work from Branch there to realize that the Dragon wasn't going to do everything into the Grav, so he had to focus all of his efforts of that high charge Zarya into the Grav as well instead of moving beyond it. It's a nice wall to stall things out here for Cloud Streaks as he is building up to a Blizzard.
Definitely is. You got to assume they want to continue the momentum here, just continue to hold this choke, not really letting them out of the indoor area that point 3 is, but instead Zen not gonna let them. He walks out, and then the alpha move on the Shatter there in SB.
I mean, we've been talking all about how Snipe You Later has just been getting walked over, but that was an alpha play, like you said. However, Eclipse, again, playing patient here. Somehow they sustained all of their frozen members during that fight, and now they're forcing back Apollo. Nice shield break coming through to just deter Zen from maybe walking forward a bit, but he does have this Shatter ready to go. Sound barrier comes through, and those members may survive the Shatter. You see the pin coming through. Now the anti-grenade on to Zen, and he may fall here. He continues to stay alive, though, and time burns down. I mean, Eclipse just dominantly winning that map. It was a lot closer on Busan, but just the absolute confidence from the entirety of that squad is something that makes even me quiver here in the caster's booth.
I mean, think about when you play Kings Row, how is it ending? It's a Lucio contesting point, it's a ball spinning around. Eclipse denies any sign of that, any hint of that, by forcing you back into the streets phase where you were a minute and a half ago to end Kings Row here. They take it in dominating fashion. Eclipse up 2-0 against Apollo. It's not looking good. You've got to assume Apollo are on the back foot here. They're scrambling to find an answer. I mean, what do you think it could be in SB?
I mean, Apollo is a team with a lot of veterans. These players have experience being down in big situations. They have, I believe, a few of them have been in finals before. So, I mean, they know what it's like here to be down. It's not quite match point yet. So, they still have at least one map they can lose before it really gets down to the point where they're panicking. But I mean, now is the time to get the momentum back in your favor. It's all about momentum here in these higher tiers. If these teams can maintain the dominance that they're putting forward, then they can really just roll through another in a very quick first to four series. But I mean, Apollo, they have veterans, they have smart players who know how to work together. I'm hoping that the teamwork comes through a bit more in these next few maps because their Rhine has seemed a bit disconnected from the rest of the squad, albeit that's a small thing, but it's still something that Eclipse has recognized and pounced on multiple times.
And I think you're right on both facets. There is that it's the recognition from Eclipse to see when resources have been utilized from the side of Apollo and then immediately collapse on the fight as soon as that happens. Whether it be an eye snipe you later pin that just doesn't happen to connect, whether it's knowing you have that Dragon Strike grab combo, whatever it is, Eclipse is finding an answer on how to utilize anything they have to etch out the next fight in their favor. However, I think we're seeing similar things from Apollo, and I think they're so close to being able to turn it around that if we just give them a game, maybe even half a game, they can really start to get their ebb and flow. I mean, we see them aware of the ult economy, as we mentioned on King's Row, right? They know that the Grab Dragon is coming. So instead, they speed in, they make it a dry fight, they group up together, they get Grab Dragons. Now they have the resources to push next fight. And we saw them do it immediately after when they took high ground there. And I think they're definitely understanding what the other team is throwing at them and where they're at as far as ults are concerned. We just have to see them be, whether it be more proactive or just more aggressive on the front line here as they move forward. They've got to find an answer for Zen because it doesn't matter at this point what role you put him on. He's kind of cracked.
You were talking about veterans there, and you were also talking about moving forward. We're gonna continue both of those there, as Eclipse is also a team with veterans on that squad. There's some new players. I believe Scatter Genji is new to CGL and Bev, but I mean, the core of this squad that was sort of picked up at the start of the season came from Danny DeVito, a team that has popped off in many previous tournaments, and I'm hoping that they can continue to pop off as we move into Temple of Anubis. But I don't expect the brawl coming out from either side on Temple of Anubis. I think it's a very different map, as you guys can see up on your screen. Apollo is going to be the team to pick that since they did lose out on Kings Row.
Yeah, I do agree that Temple of Anubis allows for a various set of play styles here. It not very similar to Volskaya how it plays 2CP. You can keep a Winston and an Ana all the way in the back if you want and just kind of focus on counter diving. You can have that Rhinoarissa right there in the front line holding that mid platform that the attacking team has to push into through that choke. So many different ways that you can play Anubis and I think that's a strategic pick from Apollo, knowing that they can be a little bit more diverse in what composition they roll with or choose to roll with here. And if they need to switch something up, it can be a quick recognition of what the side of Eclipse is running and then respond accordingly.
Yeah, Apollo, a flexible team. I believe they did play the dive the last time that they did Temple of Anubis, which was in the semifinals against Tribulation. That one went all the way down to the wire. I'm hoping that they can maybe get a comeback started here because I definitely want to see this team pop off. So far, it's just been the story of Eclipse's domination, and we'll have to see as we head into the next map if they continue that domination. Unicorn, as we jump straight in, is there maybe one last thing you would give to Apollo in terms of maybe a hero swap specifically on one of their roles, or just like another small note that you would give them? And we're going to jump straight in.
I think from what we've looked at, Zin, Spider, they favor this Echo. They favor a Mei as well. I think C4 Godspeed has been proficient on the Mei, but maybe we just need to get an answer to this Echo in the sky, or maybe we just continue putting resources into, I snipe you later on if he chooses to run a Reinhardt. Instead, we see him on the Winston now, so I like this a lot. I like this very standard double bubble meta that you've seen, and you're gonna see as this defense is, you can already tell everyone's going to be spread out. This is all going to be about taking your own 1v1s, being proficient in them, and not soaking up too many resources from your healers so that they can keep your front line alive as we move in here. You see them on a Brig Ana. I like that. I just don't know where that Brig gets utilized unless it's to stop a brawl. Or excuse me, unless it's to stop a wrecking ball, not a brawl.
And speaking of this wrecking ball, tracking down Cloudstreak's nearly getting rid of him is Scatter Genji here as he swings through, just looking for some early damage. But Branch is also going to be dishing out damage. He's already high charge on this Zarya, another hero that the man can play, and he's swapped over to for this map. And that's the difference there with these tank lines. You see, oh, that was a nice sleep there. Complete focusing on to Scatter Genji, and he is gone out of this fight. But Zen lands the arrow as Godspeed tries to retreat back to his team, and the rest of that team is going to be retreating even further.
Yeah, they absolutely are. I like the pick of Cloudstreaks here on the Echo. However, we're in the same situation, right? It's Spider and Bev. I mean, what do you do about that combo? Cloudstreaks isn't going to be able to do anything about it when he doesn't have the pocket to match it, especially when you go up against an Echo like Zin, like Spider have been showing us throughout the series. Spider immediately pops off there, clears out the main tank quicker than I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was looking at the health pool there for Snipe You Later, and I'm sure he was very comfortable with his 300 health, but it just vanishes with the damage boosted sticky bombs, and the rest of Apollo vanishes as Scatter Genji and our Spider continue to pop off. Bev continues to be survivable as ever on this Mercy, and they are building up a lot of ults for this next engage.
Zin over there looting the pockets of Branch as he crouches down on top of him just to pickpocket anything he had on his dead body there. Scatter Gengi about 90% to the pile drive minefield combo. Doesn't get too much off of that after a
Nice
clean bubble from the side of Branch, definitely. However, he's 99 now, and they are not going into a room that would help cater to them with this minefield. This is going to be a problem if the rest of Eclipse can collapse on this.
Just rolling around the backside, swinging through. Actually, Boop's laughing tag into the Dragon Strike there. It's a nice move, a bit of coordination that I'm not sure was called out, but definitely came through. You've got the duplicate now as NR Spider picks this Zarya. He lands a grab reminiscent of the grabs from Scatter Genji there. He continues to pop off on this Echo after leaving the duplicate form there. He picks 3 off, I believe. The damage boost always on him, and he is consistent as ever.
Such a clean defense here from the side of Eclipse. They're patient. They let Apollo take the room that they want to. Like they let them get the high ground. Then they slowly communicate via Scatter Gengi on when exactly they can go in. The dragons come out, and the fight was over before it even started after a clean boop. And this one looks to be already as Brig falls soon.
I mean, how do you even survive NR Spider at this point? I am just as confused as Apollo is here. They evade the self-destruct from Digital Arcadia, but they can't evade the headshot arrow coming through from Zen on the backside. However, he is collapsed upon here, so Apollo may be able to continue moving forward. They've committed the nano boost as Snipulator drops in the Primal Rage here. Not necessarily getting as much as he would have liked, as the nano boost is still not enough to eat away through Niche's health pool there on the Ana. I believe Bev was supporting throughout that entire fight, and just when you need it, they play patient and they bide their time, re-engage with the minefield, and win the fight.
They absolutely do. Scattergigi on this Wrecking Ball is a nuisance, to say the least. Definitely doing his job in disrupting the entirety of Apollo on these attacks here. I'm sure the Primal didn't want to be used in nano fashion. However, the health fell low, and he had to pop it just to stay alive here. As you see Eclipse, once again, just filling up the kill feed here as overtime ticks down. Looking like it's going to be a full hold here on Temple of Anubis for the side of Eclipse.
Another confidence move coming through from NR Spider, picking up the Ana and I believe landing 2 kills with that duplicate there. 0 progress on the board for Apollo, and this series looking pretty bleak for them at the moment. I was talking all about momentum as we were in our quick break before this map began. And I was talking about how Apollo needed to do something to get that back in their favor. They needed to swing the pendulum over to their end of the court, and it's just not happening right now. They have to put together a full hold of the same fashion that Eclipse just did to even draw this map.
Definitely. I think it's going to take a lot of patience, a lot of mechanical outplays from the side of the defense here, whether it be from the DPS, whether it be from the tank line, in order to go for this draw and be able to pull it off. Momentum definitely in Eclipse's favor, and they continue to ride high on it as they're pretty close to one take away from being up 3-0 here.
And this is so smart. They now put Zen on the Genji, a hero that he's definitely proficient at, and now they're just going to stack up to the nano boost with the blade here. And if we look at Apollo's support line, there's no Zenyatta, there's no Lucio that they can use to put in a Sound Barrier or a Transcendence. So, I mean, once they build up that Nano Blade combo, unless a crazy defensive grab comes through or Apollo is just able to evade it, I think that Eclipse could easily win the map there.
You're right, and it's definitely a smart play here. And you know that you don't have to win this within the first 45 seconds. You've got 4 minutes as soon as we start here. All you have to do is get the ults and then dump them. The Nano Blade should be enough by itself. If not, we've got a minefield and a self-destruct to add to it. Plenty of options here for the side of Eclipse to walk this in. Hopefully, Apollo can prove that entire theory wrong. We'll just have to see as
Oh my
immediately
goodness.
Cloudstrix gets taken down by Spider on this Echo.
This man is popping off non-stop here in the series. As now Scatter Genji is just going to swing on forward. Who needs ultimates when you can just jump into the backline, use all your cooldowns and tracking to get the kills here? But the counter dive comes through from Apollo. Scatter Genji is very low here, and the DPS do get back for Apollo to try and clean up this fight. But the respawn advantage is in favor of the attack. They continue to get these trades back and forth, and it will favor them if they're able to get their respawns back in the fight. C4 Godspeed with some nice tracking there. They try and move forward onto Niche, but that Ana's going to survive. Here comes the re-engage.
The re-engage is here indeed. Scatter Genji trying to track down C4 Godspeed on this Tracer. He does, but not before C4 Godspeed finds the Pulse Bomb onto Niche. That's definitely going to be good for the side of the attack. However, Niche right back in the fight as he gets resurrected. Cloudstreak with a focusing beam onto NR Spider. That's going to help the defensive side as they try and regain some sort of momentum here and some sort of control. However, they are able to immediately find Cloudstreaks. He's down for the side of the defense here, and it's looking good as the last bit comes out for the side of Eclipse.
Yeah, they're just dropping in all of the ults that they had built up during this fight, and it's going to pay off well for them. And they take that attack pretty quickly. They continue to roll through Apollo here. I mean, we've been asking a lot out of Apollo in terms of trying to turn around this series, and so far they haven't been able to deliver as much as they would have wanted. It is now match point Unicorn, so this is really the last chance that Apollo has to even put up a map on the board.
They've got to dig deep here. They've got to sort of stretch, or at least attempt to stretch the hero pool of Eclipse's team thin here. I mean, they know what they're proficient on. They know what Eclipse is comfortable with. How do you dwindle that down? How do you make them dig deep to come out with something to deal with what you're throwing on to into the fight here? I don't know if Apollo can do it. They've got one map to hopefully pull something out of the bag here and get a crazy comeback. I want to say we've seen crazier comebacks here at the at CGL, but this might take the cake if we see it.
Yeah, I mean, a comeback of this magnitude would be amazing to watch here from
Definitely.
Apollo. And I think Escort, they definitely have a good chance to start off that comeback. I was watching through their semifinals match, and on Havana, that's where they began to come back and claim that tiebreaker map, force it to the tiebreaker map in that series. So Havana, they have some nice strategies that they pull out, but we'll have to see if those strategies do come out. We'll have to see if Havana even is decided as the next map for Apollo here. I think they would want to avoid a Dorado or Gibraltar just because those are so dive centric, so good for the ball and the Echo. But I mean, we're going to have to see after the break which one of those maps comes through and if Apollo can even bring back a single map in this series. Right now, it's all Eclipse. And if you want to see them potentially close out this grand final, then stick around. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Grand Finals week here in Xbox NA Tier 4 for CGL. Eclipse takes the score to 3-0, and they take themselves to match point here as Apollo looking for maybe just one map, looking for some sort of hope in this series as they've pulled out all the stops here on Havana. I think they have some close holds up their sleeves. I think they have some wacky compositions planned for us, and this is their last chance to pull those out and get back in the series.
It certainly is, and Wacky is going to be the just the beginning of what they need here on Havana in order to scrape past this Eclipse team who has held no bars on how impressive they are here on this T4 finals. I'm excited to see what Eclipse brings to the table as well. I think they're just going to absolutely bring it to Apollo, let them have it, whether it be a spawn door hold here as soon as we jump into Havana, or just a crazy pick that maybe we haven't seen already, or hey, maybe you just know what's working and you keep going with it. We'll have to find out here. I'm ready to jump right in, NSB.
Yeah, I mean, we should be getting straight underway with the potential final map of this series. Eclipse maintains the control of the tempo. They maintain their confidence in each one of these maps. It's only gotten stronger and stronger here for them, it seems, in this series. They had a really good King's Row attack, followed it up with a pretty nice hold on point B, and then on Anubis, it was just basically perfection there from them. But it's a new map. It is Havana, and despite everything that has been in Eclipse's favor, Apollo has a really good full hold planned here. The close hold, rather.
And I'm hoping they can do it here. And I liked this is what won them Mecha Base, right? This is practically the exact same comp that you saw win them Mecha Base. So we go with the Rhinorissa again. Comfort picks all the way. I like it. It's pretty much meta as well. So if it works, it works. Keep throwing it at them. Doesn't matter what they throw at you. Go with what you feel most comfortable with. You're gonna need everything you can going into this.
And somehow Eclipse already just sort of gets out of the doors on their own there. I think Apollo played the close hold maybe a bit passive there. Let Eclipse walk out. However, they do rush straight onto them. No Lucio for the attacking side here, so they can't speed away. Nice shots from Cloudstreaks there to shut down 30 seconds off the clock.
Cloudstreaks knocks down Niche there as he tries to immediately find a headshot over there on the far right side. However, Cloudstreaks continuing immediately already with a high noon, just going to try and take out Scattergenji here on the
Nice
wrecking
move.
ball. He didn't get it, however, he does get a ton of damage as he comes out, finds him behind the truck, and still just kind of stuck in spawn as we're so used to seeing here on Havana. Already a minute off the clock for him.
I believe C4 Godspeed was killed off in the fight previous to this one, and he's still on his way back. That just shows how close Apollo are taking it to Eclipse. They continue to lose just a couple players in each of these ones, but this time it's Founded Saturn who goes down. So he should be able to get back rather quickly. Apollo are just going to have to give up maybe a few meters of space here.
And you see them starting to walk forward again, continue to take it as they get some of those players back. They're going to continue to inch forward and contest payload. Scattergenki has that minefield ready to go. He wants to get up in the air and throw it, but the picks are already in the way of Apollo.
Lots of ultimates ready, like you said here for Eclipse, and they put them in. Zen gets one with the Storm Arrows after that minefield kill onto Farkterloon. Niche follows it up with a two-piece of his own, and as Branch tries to get maybe a few token prizes there on his retreat, he is felled by the Mercy of all people.
He does find the Zen before he heads out. However, that's Zen the player, not Zen the hero. I know he made it difficult on us. However, they're moving forward here, finally on attack, but 2 minutes off the clock. That's about as good as it gets for these spawn door holds. That's exactly what you want to see. You got to be happy seeing a minute 50 as they just round this first corner if you're Apollo, but now you're staring at an amplification matrix.
And Apollo swapped up their composition a bit, namely in the supports here, as they also do swap up the damage line a small bit to try and make this as passive as they can. They're just going to damage boost those DPS as they try and shoot down. But this fight is already over. Eclipse takes the initiative with their ultimates, puts them all down onto the table, and caps this objective. They have 4 minutes on the clock, so it's nothing like their King's Row attack, but I mean, it's still relatively good. If we look at Havana, it's one of the harder maps to attack.
It definitely is, especially when you get in here and you see, someone like Cloud Streaks on this Ash up there. It's going to take the full force of Scatter Genji on this Wrecking Ball to deal with Cloud Streaks just to force him off. But Zen so far has been absolutely decimating with this Hanzo, cleaned up the side of I Snipe You Later early. However, the supercharger gets thrown out. The damage is there as Godspeed immediately takes out Spider, who's now on the Roadhog. They just keep switching roles.
Yeah, all of these players here very flexible. The core of Eclipse is able to play at least a couple of roles here for their team. It looks like the early kill this time comes through from Eclipse as Wizards gets himself into the mix there on the Baptiste. You've got the Dragons and the Minefield just to try and displace these players off the high ground, and they do find yet another kill here. Niche with 2 headshots, the damage boost just there to aid him in his amazing aim displays, and the cart continues to roll forward. It was a pretty successful first corner, all things considered, here for Eclipse.
I think it was not a bad hold from Apollo either. 2:30 on the clock as they begin to round that second corner. They're going to have a defensive hold here for the side of Apollo. They've got some ultimates in their favor, especially that Bob, just to contest point as they move forward. You're going to see them all grouped together. Bob's going to come out early, as you see right here. This should be the beginning of the fight, but a huge hook already has him low.
The one-shot combo not coming through that time from NR Spider. He's going to be looking to build up the rest of that whole hog. He falls very low and decides to use it in the back hallway, I believe. But Niche and Zen continue to just lay in shots here from the periphery of the objective. Branch finds one back as he gets rid of Zen, but the kills continue to go forward in red. The offense continues to storm this objective in blazing fashion here as they move on to point C.
And NSB, where did all of those check marks go for the side of Apollo? All the ultimates they talked about, they used, and somehow it kind of been the entire the tale of the story here for the side of Eclipse. No matter how many ults Apollo throws at them, they've got an answer for it. They've got the patience for the retake, and they're still going to get picks in their favor. And it's what we saw there on point 2.
Oh, a shot nearly halfway across the map comes out from Zen there. A headshot on to Godspeed as he does get resurrected here. So it's a 6v6 here in this fight. But that Storm Arrow comes dangerously close to taking off yet another head. This time it's Niche who finds the final blow, and he makes it 2 here as he gets rid of Snipe You Later. No front line means no hold here at the corner for Apollo.
No front line means all the space in the world. Niche right where he wants to be with Bev at his side. She's going to be on the pocket for that Ash, and he's got all the sightlines in the world to stare at as this payload moves right in front of it.
Spider being a little sneaky hog in the hallway. However, that big body is going to be spotted out by the Sonic Arrow. He does have a whole hog as he makes his way back up to the objective, though, after successfully escaping the kill attempt from Branch. He tries to put in a hook of his own, rather ambitious there from the Roadhog, and the kills begin to come through for the defense. If this is where they hold, then they can probably do it for a while. Havana point C here at the end is just so favored towards the defense that I'd imagine it takes Eclipse all the way down to overtime if they even do capture here.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, think about the elements in front of you if you're the attacking team. The defensive spawn is so close. You've got to round this corner. Defense immediately has high ground as they come out of the spawn. It's something you want to be one and done with when it comes to the attacking side. However, they find themselves stuck on this corner. Sigma, from the side of Scatter Gengi, immediately forced to use all of his resources. Bob comes out from Godspeed, and I've got to assume the defense continue to hold here, especially with that amplification matrix.
Oh, a great
The
Dragon Strike
Dragons.
poured in from Cloud Streaks there. Gets rid of 2. You've got a sniper duel on the backside as well. Zen, of course, lands the shot. What can this man not do? That is the question here. 3 kills actually are traded back, and these headshots continue to roll through from Zen. Branch finds 2 on the hog of his own here as he retreats into the side corner. He's most likely going to try and make his way back to the objective, but his team is falling before he can even get across the open areas of Havana here. Great work from the snipers of Eclipse to open up this corner as they get rid of 2 for NR Spider, who's now in the Orisa.
The 600 HP Roadhog forced to hide in a corner against the 175 Widowmaker. Something you're happy to see if you're a sniper. That's how you know it's working. However, you see Branch immediately go into the Wrecking Ball here just to try to contest in these last seconds as Eclipse moves forward. He does begin to spin. However, he's going to be fluxed. No, it misses the Wrecking Ball, but it instead does find Founded Saturns there on the Lucio. And their staggers are real right now as they try and stall this out.
Yeah, the supercharger is in the mix for the attack here, though, and that means that these stalls should be dealt with very quickly. So many nice shots coming in from Zen. It takes the tracer swap of Cloudstreaks just to pressure him out, but right when you pressure down Zen, Niche pops off. He gets 4 in that fight, and they do cap it in overtime. The prophecy is fulfilled there from me, and Eclipse looking as strong as ever in this series.
Yeah, as strong as ever. However, Apollo looking stronger, right? I mean, stronger than they were. That was a legitimate attacking side, or excuse me, that was a legitimate round from both sides there. Apollo had good defense at some points. Eclipse had a great attack throughout the whole thing, but maybe Apollo showing a breath of life in these T4 finals here, maybe showing they had the momentum to come back with a reverse sweep. However, it all starts on this attack here for them. I've got to assume that Eclipse goes with the spawn door hold of their own, but we'll have to see what they decide as we move into the second round of potentially the last map of the CGL MTT Season 8 T4 Finals. I'm hyped for it, NSB.
I am completely hyped as well. We're seeing another look coming out from Eclipse. Zen is on another aerial hero in the Pharah. Bev's still on that Mercy just to get the damage boost out to the rockets instead of the sticky bombs this time around. But you've got Niche back on the Widow. I'm assuming that he can contest Cloudstreaks and C4 Godspeed, who are on sniper heroes of their own. But again, it's maybe a bit of a passive approach from Apollo. I think that if they just bide their time and try and burn down this Sigma, displace the Hog as well, then they should be able to get this moving.
Let's hope they can here. You see the Pharah immediately coming out for the side of the defense here from Eclipse. I like Zen on this Pharah. It's definitely going to be the most decimating thing about this spawn door hold as he finds himself behind them. However, taking his time, being a little patient here, but who needs to be when Nish immediately finds C4 Godspeed on that Ashe?
And this is a whole new perspective to the close hold. They have a Sigma as the only one really contesting the cart. I mean, and our Spider is there on the Hog as well, but he's just sort of rotating, trying to create more off angles. Then they've got the Widow all the way on the back side, trying to get kills from there, and there's going to be zero pressure on that player, on the sniper in the back here from Niche.
And then look at this.
You've got Zen on the Pharah above them.
Right.
I mean, Snipe You Later is getting shot from so many angles here as the fight breaks out. Cloudstreaks opens it up with 2, however. Niche still in this back line trying to get snipes of his own, but Cloudstreaks makes it 5 here. Maybe even looking for the 6th, but it's going to be stolen there from Godspeed as he wins the Widow duel, but the objective opened up, and it's a nice play coming through from the Ashe here on the attack.
It definitely is. I'm impressed with how they were able to take that because, like we were just explaining when it all broke out, it's difficult to deal with Zen, bobbing up and down on a roof. You've got Niche all the way back there on the Widowmaker as far as can be. How do you walk out of that spawn door? However, they find a way, and that way is paved by Cloudstreaks popping off on this Ashe so far.
Oh, I was just about to say that C4 Godspeed is really finding the shots here, finding his identity in this map, but right when I was about to say it, of course, you've got a shot coming through from Niche, but he is taken care of by Cloudstreaks this time. The DPS duo coming into their own for Apollo here. They've committed both support ultimates into winning this fight. That's exactly what they're going to do as Vark Terloon this time gets in on the Battle Mercy action there. I believe Bev has 2 kills total this series, so it'll be interesting to see if Fark can equal that.
And I like this from Apollo. Maybe that's the answer here. Just less patience, right? Just go forward. If the ult's there, just use it on cooldown. Let the momentum continue swinging in your favor. Find the stagger. If it's a solo shatter, if it's a whole hog, who knows, whatever you got to throw at it. Just throw the supercharger out there if you need to, as well as we see here with the whole hog. But instead, Branch Caster curses me, immediately taken down there as soon as he uses his ultimate. That whole hog is negated.
Wizards playing on the edge of death there on the Baptiste, and he is shot down by Cloudstreaks there. It took quite a few shots as the sustain was there for a while. Now Zen trades it back onto Cloud Streaks, but the Resurrect comes in from both sides, so I believe we're at a 6v6 yet again here. The damage boosted Ashe just chunking down Branch on the Hog, and Zen has that Bob ready to go. He's just going to chuck it straight down onto the cart. Bob comes in turn from the other side as well. C4 Godspeed forced to retreat. The Mercy is able to fly over to him, but he continues to be pressured by Niche on this high ground. He finds the headshot into the other sniper of Zen, though. No Ashe means that it's going to be tough for NR Spider to survive here without that high ground cover on him. That's exactly what happens as he does fall, loses the Roadhog duel there. So close to landing that hook was Branch, almost preemptively around that corner. Scatter Genji continues to contest this point, but Apollo they get it moving yet again, and it's looking about the same pace as Eclipse on their attack.
It definitely is. Scattered Genji here, unable to contest for too long. Branch just denying this line of sight, immediately pulls Niche out, or excuse me, pulls Zen out of the immortality field. Niche falls as well to C4 Godspeed, both DPS dead. This isn't good for the defense.
Branch continues to get these crazy hooks on the Hog. You saw the Valkyrie committed yet again, and is he going to get that kill? No, C4 Godspeed does steal it in the end, but I'm rooting for these Battle Mercies here as Godspeed makes it another. Now it's his turn to pop off as he finds another headshot. It's on to the high health pool of the Orisa, though, so that one's not going to get a kill. We see the sniper swaps coming through from Eclipse yet again. Zen is going to be the one trying to take the Widow duel now.
Definitely. I love the idea from C4 Godspeed. He's just kind of feeding those support ultimates, but it feels good to hit that big old moon hitbox that Orisa brings to the table. Zen looking for the picks of his own, but instead finds Niche hiding behind an Orisa shield and absolutely gets taken out before it even begins. The whole hog is there from Branch. He's able to pick up a kill as well. He's moving forward here, denying the corner. The immortality field is thrown. Bob's in the back line just wreaking havoc, taking space of his own there as they're forced into a corner.
Yeah, and now the time banks are really looking good here for the attack, and I would favor them in an overtime round if Apollo can get that going. But the amplification matrix and the supercharger are going to be enough to send them back for this fight.
Definitely is. It looked good for the side of Apollo there, but once again, like we discussed earlier in SB, once you're here for the defense, these spawns are so in favor for them. They've got the high ground for both of these snipers to go up there and take. That's going to be difficult for the attacking side to deal with, especially when that attacking side is a Roadhog Orisa. That pulled pork is a great combo. However, it's difficult to deal with when everyone's taking a different angle.
You've got the pile drive coming through as Scatter Genji drops in the minefield. Unable to land one with that, but he boops founded Saturn in. Great work there from the ball of Eclipse as Zen lands 2 headshots on the backside. He lands a 3rd as well. This man is a living highlight reel, and he's probably going to continue this now that he has the info sight.
Definitely. You've got to assume he is. The Zim 4's on sale this season on Amazon here. He's absolutely popping off in T4, showing these other DPS how it's played. Got to advocate for him. He's been popping off the entire series. Already in MVP contention if Eclipse can close this out, at least in my opinion. Amp Matrix pop for the rest of Eclipse there.
You have the info sights if you are Apollo, but your health pools are not necessarily there. As Zen finds another opening kill I mean, this is going to continue for how long, man? He's just going to continue popping off here on this Widow unless Apollo swaps up their composition or finds really good shielding. The headshot comes through there after the infosight had faded away early in that fight, and now when they look away from Zen, Niche gets a pick. He gets rid of Cloud Streaks, who did have that Bob.
Definitely did have that Bob, and this is not going well for Apollo. And just to go back to what we discussed earlier, if you can get that hold on defense here for point 3, then you can essentially from a long way away hold these spawn doors of the attacking side, and that's what Eclipse is demonstrating so well. The Bob is forced to be popped just to make some space here for the attack of Apollo, but look at Zen just raining down on their team from above as the front line continues to decimate for Eclipse.
A lot of ults committed from both sides here as the Bob goes in from Niche and is taken immediately out by C4 Godspeed, who is now on this McCree. He gets a second in this fight of real kills, 3 if you do include that Bob early in the mix. And now he gets rid of Scatter Genji, who just dropped in that minefield. A bit of disruption on the point, but Apollo takes care of that Wrecking Ball and moves it into a possible overtime fight. They need to win this or they are gone.
They are gone here soon. This could be it for the side of Apollo. They need to push it the rest of the way. The Flux comes out just attempting to find anybody. Scatter Genji's ready here on this Wrecking Ball just to contest. The final staggers are there. Excuse me, the final hold is there for the defense. They've solidified their spot on point. The Fortify is popped from the side of Spider. I'm hoping they can turn it around here if it's Apollo, but the picks are not going in their favor.
Yeah, roll through comes
With the
through from
Bob!
Scatter Genji. The Bob, of all people, pops off here in the mix for Cloud Streaks, but this defender spawn advantage definitely favors the defense. We can't say it enough, but that fortified Orisa is going to stay alive on the point for quite a while. Arcturloon just trying to peek out, trying to get heals to whoever he can there, but he's sort of boxed out by the rest of Eclipse, who are setting up off angles, just waiting for their DPS to pop off yet again. Zen is swapped over to the soldier and is nearly ready to go with a tactical visor, as now the minefield is deployed. You've got said tactical visor, but Cloud Streaks continues to pop off. However, the stalls are running out here for Apollo. They've got the Valkyrie. How long can they continue this fight?
The Valk is there. He gets off an illegal res onto Godspeed. He's going to be there to try and stall. However, it's not going to be enough. There's no team left to come back no matter how long he stalls. Winston's not going to be able to touch. Eclipse are your T4 CGL MTT Season 8 champions. Well deserved, I've got to say.
Yeah, it was just beautiful plays all across the board from Eclipse during the entirety of that series. They showed that those compositions they run are definitely the best for them when they just put everyone on the heroes they're comfortable on, even putting them on different flex rolls or off rolls, then they can just demolish. They can disrupt the enemy team perfectly. And when Apollo was matching up with other Brawl teams like Tribulation, they were looking very good. But when they tried to match up anything against this disrupting comp, it just sort of fell apart, and they do lose in a clean sweep fashion.
Clean sweep 4-0 for Eclipse, and they're so refined, so conservative in their play, then it's all out aggression immediately, able to turn the tide and once again control that ebb and flow. I mean, the entirety of this series was dictated by the side of Eclipse. They told you how the fight broke out every single time. They let you get into the positions you wanted to be and then immediately took it from you, whether it be with a better ult economy that they kept throughout the series or just utilizing their resources or negating yours into. Loved the play there.
Yeah, and congratulations to Apollo 4 for making it this
Definitely.
far in a very challenging bracket. I imagine Xbox NA Tier 4 was one of the tougher brackets that you could think of here in CGL this season, and these two teams got all the way through that tough bracket and they made it to the finals. So even if you lose 4-0 in this series, then don't go home in complete shame. You got this far through a tough bracket. We can't say it enough. So congratulations to Apollo there. But I mean, the winners of this series did it amazingly. Eclipse, just a team full of talent, a team full of players who are experienced, they're veterans of the scene, and they know how to pop off.
Definitely. I mean, for the side of Apollo, hang your head high. Don't feel down about it. Down a player, it's unfortunate. Appreciate that there was no forfeits here from the side. I'm glad we still got to cast the match. Everyone got to experience it. A ton of fun to watch, and just goes to show Apollo is a heck of a team, right? It's still a fantastic team. Just when you're down players, the communication might not be exactly where you need it to be. And honestly, when you're dealing with a team like Eclipse, you need every single part of your arsenal to throw at them and if you want to scrape out that win. However, Eclipse well deserved for the W here in SB. I'm excited to talk about it. I know you have been as well. Tell me who you've got for MVP here.
Well, there is one option in my mind, and
Hmm.
that option is the DPS tank flex that has his name start with a Z. I'm sure everyone, you guys know it in chat. That is Zen.
For
The
sure.
man, the myth, the legend, the veteran of Danny DeVito, now coming in to flex on all of Tier 4 with his amazing play, to flex at the top of King's Row on the Reinhardt, and then move on to a Widow and completely dominate. That man had an all-around fantastic performance, and he's going to get my finals MVP vote.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I can't think. I can think of all the other. I can think of 11 other players that's shined at some point. However, Zin MVP for the entirety of the series. Fights won on his behalf. Fights turned on his behalf. Just able to spectate him on the Widow. And if you were there for just 4 seconds, you were finding a headshot in some avenue. He jumps on a Rhine and absolutely destroys after getting escorted around by the Lucio. Fantastic play. Zin all day in my book.
Yeah, and the entirety of Eclipse definitely popped off as well. I mean,
For
even
sure.
if you look at like a piece that's not necessarily mentioned as much in like the Mercy or in the other support players that you saw come into the
Mhm.
mix, it was the Lucio at times, the Baptiste from Wizards. Whatever they decided to throw in from the supports was good. Whatever tank line they had in as well was popping off, especially Scatter Genji on the ball as well. He'd probably be a runner-up if I had to
Yeah,
choose one,
so
maybe
difficult to
Spider,
deal with.
but
So difficult
I
to deal
mean,
with the whole
all of them
series.
popped off.
Yeah. I mean, Scattergunji on the wrecking ball, so difficult to deal with. We talked about briefly on King's Row his constant charge as the Zarya, being able to utilize those bubbles to constantly keep himself at that 100 and what is it, 75 damage per second that the Zarya can put out. I mean, just destroying there on King's Row. I think he'd definitely be my runner-up right there with Niche on the Ash there, or whatever DPS he played, popping off as well. I'd say as well, any of them really. I can talk about all of them. Bev on the Mercy escorting Zen around, on the Echo when they popped off as well on Busan. I Any and all of them well deserved of the finals. Happy to crown them champions here.
Yeah, and as we close it out tonight after a wonderful highlight reel full series, we're gonna have to say thank you to everyone out there in chat. We had great numbers this stream. We had great turnouts and a lot of engaged people keeping it positive in the chat. Always great to see you guys out there dropping follows to CGL as well. Make sure you guys check out the Twitter and check out the website. Also the Discord just to stay updated on all of the other finals that are going to be coming soon. Most notably, the Tier 5 and Tier 6 finals here are going to be tomorrow. And then the day after that. So, two huge matches that you definitely don't want to miss. And then we're going to be following it up next week with all of the PS4 grand finals. So, I mean, we're really just getting started here at CGL for our Overwatch grand finals. And it's been an amazing night. Thank you to Joker's Ransom as well behind the scenes on the production. And Unicorn, of course, for being by my side as we watch through Eclipse's domination. But that's going to do it for us. Make sure you guys stay safe out there in chat. Make sure to tune in to all of the other finals, and we will see you later.
Thanks everyone.